Hey guys, I am Bets Golden. Welcome back to my channel, and if this is the first time you've stumbled upon it, I am so glad that you found me, and I hope you decide to stick around by subscribing to my channel as well as hitting that little notification key button, and then leaving any comments or questions you have down below and making sure that you like this video. And of course, it's always fun to share. I'm going to be doing a fun little technique today using some Distress Embossing Glaze and a resist. So this is I've done this before, but it's been a while, and I thought that I would just revisit it because I am loving this stamp by Picket Fences. It's the Rosa Eden Roses. It is so pretty. What I did was I just stuck it in my Misty. I used my black Archival ink, which is this one right here. I have a jumbo pad, but I highly recommend getting a smaller pad too. And I stamped it up a couple times so I have a beautiful image. And then I just cut it down to 4 by 5.25. And then all you have to do from here is you're just going to take an embossing pen. And these I have gotten color on. And so that's why I have this here. Whereas these are still pretty clear. But for this one, I trust that the ink is dry, but I don't really trust that it's completely dry. So I'm going to be using this pen to color in the images. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to color in the leaves first, and I'm going to use this one to do the glaze. It's the Rustic Wilderness, and it's totally okay if I glaze over my lines because it's a glaze, so you'll be able to see right through it with no problem. All right, now I am going to repeat that thing I just did on the leaves on the roses, and I'm going to use the speckled egg. But I forgot to pre-powder my substrate, which made the embossing powder stick to places I didn't want to, which wasn't the end of the world. When that happens, you just simply use a soft bristle brush and just brush the excess away. But to avoid that happening, you can take a little static pouch and just rub your image down, and that removes all the moisture. Really pretty colors here. Now from here, we're going to do the resist technique, in which we lay down a little bit of ink all over the place and lift it. I'm going to be using Minty Fresh and Piggyback, and this is a little bit of a risk because I'm not exactly being very respectful of my color families. Pink and green, might get some brown, but I do know that when I have used the Simon Hurley pads, the brown is not as likely as if I use other dye inks, and I don't understand why. Like, I don't know what is in his ink that makes it a little bit more tolerable on the palette, but there's something. All right, so I'm just gonna go in with my Piggyback first. And the reason why I opted for Piggyback on this was to get around these flowers in a contrasting color, because the Minty Fresh I felt was like too close to that color scheme that I got going on there. So I just thought that this would be a nice pop. And then I want to take just a stencil, and I'm just going to go over a few spots. And I want to wipe off the excess of my ink from the little roses. So I have over here this beautiful stamp that I used, and I left it on the Misty just in case I had to restamp it. But clearly I don't have to. But since it's with the Archival ink, it has dried, which can present itself a little bit of a problem. However, I have this Best Cleaner Ever that is wonderful, and it really does take off the majority of the ink. So I'm just gonna let that sit there for a minute, and then I can just go in and just remove some of this ink. And I'm gonna just wash it down with some water as well, just to remove that residual cleaner. Really impressed with this cleaner. I think it works great. This stamp was stained before I put it down, but it definitely takes off a lot of that ink, if not all of the ink. I'm using some StazOn ink for this just because I want to make sure that it dries relatively quickly. I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive here to adhere this card to the card front. Add probably a little bit of Nuvo dewdrops or stickles to finish it off. I always like to add the extension piece to my adhesive, like the fine tip, because you really don't need as much glue as it shoots out of a regular tip. The fine tip is plenty of glue, so you will get just the right amount and you will not waste a ton of product. So elongate your product. So I always say buy the extension the first time and then just keep using the extension on your glue and you'll get the right stuff. I also like liquid adhesive because I can move it around for good placement. A lot of times when I try to do tape, I'll get it on there wrong. So this way I get it on nice and I get a nice even mat all around my card front. I think that this double denim crystal drops would be perfect as the topper on this. And there we go. So that is how you can use embossing powder or glazes to create a resist technique. I like to do this obviously with the glaze because you can still see the lines underneath of the image and it doesn't cover it up. It just literally glazes the design, whereas embossing powder would completely cover it up. It would work, but you would just have to be super careful or use not so much of a detailed image. I certainly hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you would like to know where to find any of the stuff that I used, I will do my best to find that for you and post it down below in the description box. The glue that I used, the cleaner that I used, and then this static pouch is all from Scrap Perfect. So I will link the Scrap Perfect for you down below as well. But there are no direct links to those products. However, the shop is a specialized shop that specializes in those things. So it'll be no problem for you finding them there. Until next time, I'm Beth Golden. Happy crafting.